Okay, so welcome everyone, locally and virtually, to this third MetaHuman Futures Forum. It's wonderful to have this third edition here in Lesbos of this event. So thank you, Evi, and the Greek team. This is part of the Bodinet Horos EU project, which I will very briefly mention in a minute. So this forum is meant, since its very conception, as an alternative to other existing forums around post-humanistic issues, in order to create a space for a ruthless critique of the current, let's briefly call it extinction crisis, which gets neglected and silenced and denied in virtually every other environment I know of, even in activist environments, not to speak of intellectual environments. So this is a space for putting on the table a ruthless critique of this denied main core situation of our times, but also for creative proposals in order to face this very crisis. So this is, to put it very shortly, we will shorten the introduction because we have started with delay due to technical issues. And I will just mention that, as I said, this is part of the Bodinet Horos project. It's a project that precisely focuses on replies through the moving body and through collective, new collective practices of interaction, as understood as replies to the mentioned crisis. So how can we reinvent our ways of living and our knowledges and our sociality through new kinds of collective embodied practices as reply to this generally unacknowledged crisis. So the title of this event, can we end, how was it exactly, ending the age of denialism, with a question mark, because it is a real challenge whether we can at all end the end of denialism and the age of denialism. Denialism, now understood as the denialism of many things, but foremostly of the core critical issues of our current extinction age, the age of mass extinctions, the age of planetary holocaust, the age of human supremacism. So there is a generalized denialism of human supremacism itself. So we could say that human supremacism is grounded on a fundamental denialism of its own supremacist status and of the devastation that it creates. So this is the core question we are presenting for debate as frame for this event, right? The subtitle being Planetary Holocaust, Human Supremacism and Extinction. So this is the core question that gets fundamentally denied by human supremacism itself. And the second subtitle, which is Towards a Metahuman Justice and Freedom for All Life Forms. This is the broad perspective of reinvention of our realities we want to also discuss and put on the table. So this, just to put it very shortly, I will pass now the microphone to Evi Sampanikou, the host of the event. Thank you so much again, Evi. Of course, the university, led in this case by Evi in the project, is one of the three project partners of the Bodinet Horos EU project, of which this event is also part. Thank you.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the University of the Aegean, the Department of Cultural Technology and Communication, I welcome everyone to the third MetaHuman Futures Forum. We're happy to start the first session with Stelarc today, because this is a session dedicated to Stelarc. Yesterday, we were very happy to have all joined Stelarc's workshop for about 6 hours. It was an extraordinary workshop, and I think that the participants will always keep this experience in their memories and their minds. Today, the program will slightly change in relation to the online you have already read about. We're not starting with Stelarc because we're supposed to introduce him first. Of course, everybody knows who Stelarc is, just to welcome him. I'm not having I'm not having any part of this session. I'll just welcome Stelarc for once more. I really feel proud of having him to our university. Yes, and feel how lucky our students are to have this experience. So I'm passing the session to Anna Hadziyanaki. She's an art historian who has for years been studying Stelarc's work and is also a part of the Aegean family. And she's going to tell us about Stelarc sculpting the post-human body. Anna, please.
Yeah, so before passing the word to Anna, who is online, let me just make a couple of reminders. So we will be having here for the local audience some coffee after this first session, and the meeting of So it's fine. We are having all sorts of funny little technical problems. Just let's take it easy. It's part of the fact that this conference is hybrid and partly online, and so the streaming is bringing us a bit crazy with how to have presentations locally looking well, but then also for the streaming. And now Anna Hadziyanaki has disappeared from the stage of the online presentation. We have to wait for her to come back. Maybe it was because we got shut down from this the main account, which is the one we have here, but hopefully she realized and she's going to join back immediately. Let me meanwhile remind that the event started already like 4 days ago with a lab in Scala RSO for 3 days. 4 of the team, 4 of us were there participating, doing a workshop at the Queer Festival, a MetaHuman Lab, which has been an extraordinary experience. It's the 3rd time we do it, this time shorter than previous years, but very intense. And it was unforgettable for all of us there, I think, with Jean-Marc Matos, with Alexandra Lukasiewicz, and with Patricia McCormack and myself. We were there interacting with the local queer groups for these days, and also with the sanctuary there, and so forth. Yesterday we had not only Stelarc's workshop, but also Jean-Marc Matos and Antti Cosma's workshop online at the end of the day. We have the exhibition going on. I'm just waiting for Anna to return. We have the exhibition by Ioan Caronil and Maria Simakopolo going on. We will have also the screening of films curated by Evi Stamo going on in a separate room. Is that already running? So tomorrow in the amphitheater about 2 o'clock at lunchtime, we will have, so Anna is coming back, we will have the screening of films curated by Evi Stamo. We have the official dinner also today at the beach restaurant. So let's make sure everyone gets the information for this night's official vegan dinner in this wonderful place at the beach behind the castle. So if you don't know where it is, please let's get the infos how to get there at lunchtime. We have then tomorrow a less official dinner. You're all welcome to join after the performance that will happen here. So the bus can take us, the late bus can take us all to the city center, and then we can eventually walk, or for those who might have more difficulty walking, maybe Patricia and some others I can take on the car. So Anna is back. That's wonderful. I could do all the reminders. We have also another final workshop on Tuesday with the refugee group RAT Music Organization in their space, a 3 hours workshop with refugee communities, which will be the last event of this forum. Which I'm very much looking forward. We will also include a vegan lunch with them in that event. If you want more information or want to join us there, just also let us know. So Anna is back. I will add her to the stage and her presentation. So let's, Anna, welcome. Can you hear me? I will remove myself.
Yes.
Great, and we hear you too. Can you just check that we can see your slides moving when you move, when you change slides? Wonderful.
Well,
so I will now remove myself and I just give the ground to you. Thank you very much.
Well, the topic is Stelarc, sculpting the post-human body. Stelarc is a widely known performance artist. He employs in his art virtual reality, robotics, medical instruments, prosthetics, the internet, and biotechnology. Less well known is his fascination with philosophy. Schopenhauer, Spinoza, Nietzsche, Heidegger, Wittgenstein, Derrida, and more recently, actor network theory and object-oriented ontology. He has also been intrigued by Baudrillard, Virilio, and McLuhan. Stelarc points out that technology has always extended human capabilities, and now it can be integrated within our bodies. William Gibson compares Stelarc's work to historical technological marvels like Leonardo da Vinci's flying machine, yet finds it timeless. The body and space travel. Stelarc's art has been extensively studied for nearly 5 decades. This presentation focuses on his exploration of the human body in outer space. How could the obsolete body survive beyond Earth? He argues that the harsh environment of space necessitates a reimagining of the body. The problem of space travel has shifted from technological limitations to limitations of our fragile biology. He proposes implanted components that energize and amplify our capabilities, exoskeletons and robotic structures that can further enhance the body as well. One can recognize in these ideas multiple hybridizations in his projects, like the Aeron arm, the exoskeleton, the Movatar, and many more. This merging of human and machine, says the artist, will allow us to function, not just exist, in the harshness of space. Even his suspensions performances have a concept of gravity's exploration. Brian Masumi observes that Stelarc uses the term gravitational landscape to describe the way his body is deformed when suspended by hooks. Masumi suggests that Stelarc's work makes the normally invisible force of gravity a visible aspect of the human experience. The post-human concept, beyond Earth. Stelarc's work pushes the boundaries of the body, prompting a re-evaluation towards the post-human concept. His art explores a radical solution to redesign ourselves through human-machine interfaces in order to overcome our limitations. For him, it is not an issue of utilitarian improvement of the body, but rather exploring alternative anatomical architectures. Innovation in technology is erasing the boundaries between human and machine as our bodies merge with prosthetics, code, and other tools, ushering in a novel form of existence where the definition of human is open to question. In fact, says Stelarc, the human has always been historically an unstable construct. His art lies at the core of posthumanism, a concept with various interpretations. While thinkers like Francis Fukuyama raise concerns about the potential loss of human dignity, others, like Donna Haraway, embrace the concept of the cyborg as a new form of being. Catherine Hales argues that posthumanism signifies a shift away from a traditional understanding of the human, rather than the end of humanity itself. Stelarc not only discusses the concept of post-human body, but also explores it using his own body. He merges human and machine through prosthetics and robotics. He postulates that a possible solution lies in a universal body design that can thrive in any environment, achieved through symbiosis with technology. The increasing symbiosis between body and technology suggests that Darwinian evolution can no longer be the driving force for human body. Stelarc envisions post-biological strategies. He approaches the concept of the body as a structure for redesign. For space travel, he proposes a hollow, hardened, and dehydrated body. A hollow body would be a better host for technology. In his 1991 article for Leonardo Journal, he envisions a synthetic skin capable of absorbing oxygen and converting light into nutrients. This technology would eliminate the need for many existing organs and systems. This idea is less eccentric than it sounds. Skin breathing is a physiological adaptation in amphibians. On the other hand, there are advances in artificial skin, including a 2022 breakthrough at Cornell University. A porous body and a semi-living skin bring to mind two of Stelarc's projects, the stomach sculpture and the 1/4 scale ear, respectively. For Stelarc, to adapt to the vastness of outer space, the human body must achieve immortality. Immortality, the holy grail of posthumanism, has been explored as a concept by several key figures in the field. Hans Moravec argues for the possibility of uploading human consciousness into computers, and Ray Kurzweil believes technology will enable radical life extension. Stelarc argues that death is outdated. The advances in reproductive technologies and the potential for body replacement change the meaning of birth and of death. He clarifies, however, that his use of immortality is not spiritual or utopian. He suggests the post-human future may not be about physical bodies on machines, but about intelligent digital entities. The artist contrasts the limitations of physical bodies with the speed, efficiency, and potential immortality of digital avatars. Stelarc's vision of avatars, unlike those in science fiction, centers on augmenting human capabilities with technology. His work explores telepresence and aligns with posthumanism. A wired and split posthuman entity. Imagine a human body on Earth, augmented with technology and linked to an artificial intelligence-powered avatar stationed in outer space. This human avatar system would form a single entity with a two-way connection for reciprocal control. This concept parallels Stelarc's performance, the Actuate Animate event for Avatar, where his gestures control an avatar in a virtual environment. Here, however, the avatar would reside in an extraterrestrial location. The connection between the body and the avatar would be established through a network of satellites designed to handle the vast distances and time delays in extraterrestrial communication. The mutual remote control between body and avatar would be based on Stelarc's performances, the fractal flesh, and the motion prosthesis. The body on Earth would have a split physiology operating in a voltage in, voltage out mode, inspired by Stelarc's project, the split body voltage in, voltage out. The artist himself has said, "I've been intrigued not only with human-machine interactions, but also with virtual actual interfaces." In these split body performances, Stelarc describes the body as both a possessed and a performing one. The extended arm project exemplifies this concept. His left arm is controlled by external remote factors, while his right one operates a mechanical extension. This split and amplified body would act as a data transceiver between the human on Earth and the avatar in outer space. Then takes place an interspatial experience of mixed realities, far exceeding traditional virtual reality. When electronic space becomes an action medium. By integrating a video headset, sensors, and the ear and arm implant, the body avatar entity facilitates optical, sensory, and acoustic interaction. This wired system would become a post-human entity. It could be a contemporary chimera of meat, metal, and code remotely prompted and propelled, to use a Stelarc's quote. The post-human entity could be animated by an improvised choreography similar to Stelarc's 1997 performance, The Cyberhuman Voluntary Body, Third Hand. Furthermore, the Earth-based component of this post-human entity could achieve a state of immersive telepresence on an extraterrestrial location. To achieve an audiovisual telepresence, the wired body would be equipped for hearing with an implant, as I said, based on Stelarc's The Ear on Arm project. This implant would function as a remote listening device. Essentially, this post-human entity would allow the operator using embodied sensors to see, hear, and feel what the avatar sees, hears, and touches in outer space. The post-human entity receives and circulates data and senses between outer space and Earth. Moreover, the artist envisions teleoperation systems as a way to project human presence and perform actions beyond Earth. He points out that a single operator could control multiple robots in different locations, or a team of experts could work together to guide one robot. Stelarc envisions teleoperation systems that go beyond basic hand-eye control, providing operators with full sensory feedback and enabling semi-autonomous robots capable of making independent decisions. This technology would overcome time delays, creating an immersive experience. Electronic space becomes a platform for action, not just information. In closing this presentation, I turn to the insightful words of philosopher Brian Massumi. He describes Stelarc's art as a transmission of pure sensation, not meaning or information, sensation. For Massumi, the performances by Stelarc pose questions about the body's adaptability and push toward change with the ultimate goal of connecting the body with outer space. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, although she's there she's back.
Again.
Yeah, there you're back. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for the wonderful presentation. Unless there are some direct questions from the audience, well, we can see if there are any. We would move on to Stelarc himself. Well, let me meanwhile do my own welcome. Of course, we had yesterday already the workshop, but this is the start of the forum, so it's a great honor, and I'm extremely happy that Stelarc was willing to come all the way here for being with us in this event. It's the fourth time we collaborate. The first time was in Spain when I brought him to the Body Technologies workshop I was organizing there, and we were together with Sandy Stone having a week of great fun. Then in Seoul, in one of the Beyond Humanism conferences, then again in an online Meta-Human Futures Forum, the first one, and now here. So it's wonderful. And for me, it makes full sense to have Stelarc in this framework, which I was briefly describing at the beginning. I think that very often has been, well, misappropriated, but certain currents which I think are not really fitting so much his proposals, let's say, for example, transhumanism. I find that there are many elements in his work which are very interesting, going in different directions to whatever those currents may be proposing, and may be resonating in certain ways with the meta-humanistic proposals, though being possibly not possible to categorize in any of the existing currents. It's something else, but the issues of contestable futures, issues of the unexpected, issues like in our exchanges we were mentioning of the role of failure in the creative process, all of that resonates a lot with the meta-humanistic approaches, the role of how glitches become the important part of a performance, the role of involving documentation, the performance itself, of transforming perception in different ways, of the non-linear relations that happen in the performances, of how there's absolutely no teleology, no issue of enhancing the body in a prescribed manner, in wanting it to perform within this transhumanistic teleological framework of trying to make it perform in a prescribed, enhanced version of itself, but rather of reinventing it in an open-ended way. All of this resonates with meta-humanistic rather than transhumanistic proposals. So I'm very happy, therefore. Welcome again. I want to apologize, first of all, because due to certain technical issues, possibly incompatibilities with certain Mac systems and our own streaming system, we can't have the full screen mode that Stelarc normally likes to have. So what you will see is not the good proper setting, just to clarify that. So welcome, and I will remove Anna. You can then stay in the background, Anna, anyway, for the discussion later. I will put you back. I will add to the stage Stelarc's presentation, which again, unfortunately, is not in full screen mode. I will now change our camera here to the local microphone. Unfortunately, you have to sit for that. So let's also test your microphone before starting. Let's see if your microphone works before I leave you alone.
The other thing is I need access to this.
What?
I need to control the sound here. So
wait.
Sorry,
yeah, yes, that's fine, but I don't have much room.
Okay. So let's see if your microphone is working.
Okay. So can you hear my voice through the mic?
Doesn't.
So that's going to be a problem. When I turn my sound on here, we're going to get echo. So this microphone is going online. This one?
Yes, but
if it is, we don't need this.
That's true. If you're sitting here, then we don't need this one.
Don't need that one. Yep.
But still, we might have the feedback problem.
We do.
So this is a further final challenge. Can you hold, please? Because normally the sound should be going in here as well of your presentation. Could we try a video and see whether it goes directly?
It's if it's also.
Where's the sound here?
What do you need?
Could you just try one moment?
That's a Mac.
Sound. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I can cut the sound out, but then I don't have any sound at all.
Could we just try?
Yeah, but from my computer, from my.
Could we just try 1 second a video to see whether we get the sound in StreamYard and then in the speakers? Or not?
Well, we can, but
or maybe it does work.
You're going to have that feedback problem.
No, because if no, maybe if the sound goes here, we don't need your speakers to be on. You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we should try this.
No, take it out of full screen. No,
that's how it is.
Yeah,
feedback.
You cannot share it. You cannot find it.
You can't put it on without full screen. Can you put it on now?
Then it's really.
Here, that works.
No, that works with the sound.
Ah,
And if I say.
So we're trying to sort some final technical issues with the presentation.
It means I have to stop the video. I have to because if I switch off the video, then I switch off my microphone. So it doesn't work like that.
How many people are online?
No, 1 or 2. It's just...
1 or 2.
I
Just avoid the line.
We can't stop then we don't have anything anymore in the morning. I mean, we could just shut down the local systems for this presentation and then not have it online?
I would prefer to do my presentation in the other room
Yeah.
with a large.
But is it available? But we can't shut down everything. We need to leave the streaming on and just have this one not be online. So we're going to move to a different room, but so Stelarc's presentation will not be streamed. It's not PowerPoint.
Yes,
And so we can't simply transfer this file into there. And the problem is I tested my system the other day, but I didn't realize the problem with the PC. So the other day when I tested in here, it was fine, but it was just a local thing. But to be honest, if I want to do my presentation, I prefer in the other room with the big screen. And at least because it's for the local people that...
I would then only ask something, that if it gets recorded, that you also send me the video to put it in the Metabody channel.
Of course.
Okay. And then we can correct the facts. So the presentation will be, I'm talking now for the online future audience, will get recorded separately, and we will put it separately in the channels because we need to make it in a different room. We will keep this live stream on because then we come back to this room, and the Stelarc presentation will be put online separately afterwards to the physical recording we will do of it separately. So we will come back to this room for the second session of the morning. We leave the live stream on, so people are invited to return here after a while. So Anna, for you also, we will be now moving to a room where you won't be able to actually hear Stelarc. So Anna won't be able to hear Stelarc either. So, okay. So Anna, we will now... no. So Anna, we will now move to a different room where you won't be able to join us because we have some serious technical problems, further problems with the sound also. So Stelarc will show his presentation in the other room where we did the workshop yesterday. We will keep the live streaming on anyway because we will come back to this room after the coffee break for the second panel of the morning, where you are also welcome to join us for discussion. So I will leave this on, but we go for Stelarc, and Stelarc's presentation will be recorded with cameras. We will put it online later on when I get the raw videos of this.
Okay, Jaime, I wonder whether I was heard until the end of my presentation because
yes, you were heard until the end.
Okay.
Only just you fell out just after finishing. So, yes, Stelarc is saying hello and goodbye to you.
Hello, Stelarc.
So sorry about this for the audiences online in the future. As I said, we will put the video of this presentation separately later on. Stay there or come back in 1 hour, and we will continue. We will continue with the online streaming of the remaining morning session in this same room of YouTube and StreamYard in case of the speakers joining later on. Thank you, and apologies for this unexpected technical issue. It's a complex to do hybrid events, half online and half physically. See you in a while. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This one is working. This one is not working.
Okay, this is the first one. And then the images are here, right?
1, 2, 3. So this has run out of battery. Could you tell the technicians, please?
I don't think so.
Because I already opened the video.
This one is working. This one,
Let's keep this one.
but this will run out of battery too. So let's try to charge this one.
If they are available. Call them.
I mean, otherwise tomorrow we have no microphone either. We have to know how to charge them. We need.
When I go back to text, and then I'll go for two other videos. Shall I open them?
Okay.
The second video will be.
Okay, so welcome back in this chaotic morning, shifting across rooms. So now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Jean-Marc Matos, choreographer, the dance company who is one of the official partners of the Bodines Choros project, with whom we've been collaborating for over 11 years, who will now introduce his talk. Welcome. So we can let's make sure it's working. Now, if you want to be seen by the camera, you need to sit. It depends what you want.
Okay. Oh my God.
Let's make sure. Yeah, it's working. So you have the
Okay.
microphone.
Yeah, this is not a very comfortable or usual position that I use as a dancer, you can imagine. I'm not an academic. I don't evolve in universities, academies. I'm here representing an independent dance company, which has been passionately dealing with new media technology and digital technology in many different ways. Like I said yesterday at the introduction of the workshop, if some of you were not there, with sort of a passion towards trying to elaborate answers or possible answers to re-embody bodies which have been disembodied by technology. In other words, trying to see how, with technology, there are possibilities to re-embody this disembodied body. So what I wanted to start with was to give a little reference in a reflective way, based on a book which I pretty much appreciate. You might not be able to read it too thoroughly. I made a little synthesis. Is a book called The Almost Humans by Thierry Auquet, who's a professor of philosophy at the University of Nanterre. And I'll read his text, so I'm quoting him. Neither transhuman, posthuman, non-inhuman, the almost human defines a new domain, one that takes shape either below or beyond the human, where our condition becomes a question rather than a certainty. What do these beings, zombies, mutants, robots, cyborgs, ghouls, who are not quite like us, but still resemble us, sometimes to the point of becoming caricatures of ourselves, tell us about what we have become? Whether friends or foes, these fictional beings haunt our imagination, often promising a troubling future that challenges our autonomy. They remind us that to be human is always to be susceptible to failure. Caught between the threat of downfall and the dream of completeness, the almost humans uniquely question what it means to take on the guise of a man, woman, animal, plant, or simply a creature, whatever that creature is, drawing on various fictional characters that at the margin of humanity, this exploration of the almost human delves into popular figures today. Aliens, golems, transbeing, and others. These figures are analyzed in terms of, I quote him, quantity, either predation, contagion, symbiosis, quality, where there's mechanism, determinism, freedom, relationships, ends, means, societies, and modes, monomania, polyformism, destiny, and includes zombies, symbiotes, mechas, cyborgs, organorgs, robots, clones, androids, avatars, mutants, monsters, and vampires. These almost humans challenge the desire to simply be human, an aspiration often thwarted by nature, technology, or society, while we sometimes fantasize about transcending our condition or returning to our animal roots. The almost humans tie us to an idea that it is as much a promise as a downfall, a stage to surpass, or an emergence yet to come. So I've taken this little sort of summary of the concept of almost humans, which I find rather interesting in the sense that it has nourished some of the ideas that I'm developing, that I've been developing for quite a long time. But it puts a nice little synthesis on the elements I'm working on. Just before I start here, just would like to know what is the amount of time that I have left before. I don't want to make it too long. I don't want to. Can I have a little bit of an idea about the timing, since things have gone a little bit away from the.
Don't worry too much. We are a bit in a floating time this morning.
Okay. All right.
Neither too long nor too short.
Okay, that answers very precisely to my question. Yeah, well, the dialectics that I'm confronted with is the one that any one of us, either in the academic milieu or in the artistic endeavors, are confronted with, is precisely whether how much of this dichotomy between the body and the mind is there to take away a lot of what we consider as being, part of emotional, receptional, sensitive parts of ourselves. And on the other hand, these capacities that the technologies have, like in this absolutely phenomenal body of work that Stelarc has just shown us, has the potential to take us somewhere else. Where is that somewhere else? We don't know yet. I mean, it will be still the remaining question for the rest of the time, whatever that time is left for all of us. So within that dialectic situation, I've delved into this idea that, and it's kind of like my position is that there is a possibility of the forthcoming of this almost human that would eventually be at ease with both people, animals, plants, and machines in that way. So I put forward a little bit that cursor in the sense that I try to see, in order to answer to these questions I was putting forward at the very beginning, by activating works which combine dance, choreography, interactive sets, participatory environments, and so on and so forth. And I've chosen, in order to not make it too long in that precise in this precise situation I am in, is that I consider dance as really the manifestation of the living. It's my starting point, in the sense that I will read what imagining creative projects where work on the body and movement can be developed in a context enriched by the challenges highlighted also by artificial intelligence, to produce speculative fictions and offer audience the pleasure of living with the disturbance, living with the trouble, CF Donna Haraway, conduct research and dance movement, and imagine a certain vocabulary of the body approach as constrained movements of a human being, an animal body, in tension between physicality, language, and memory. Focus on the being body and its relational modalities with the digital world. Semi-autonomous images, robots, devices powered by neural networks, etc. Address the political consequences of the impact of AI on society and see how to detach ourselves from this over intrusive technological crisis narratives and the uniformization worlds that they construct for us. And tackle philosophical themes that can help understand that AI means for art and the creative process. CF Hannah Arendt, The Life of the Mind, Oliver Sacks on the River of Consciousness, Marcel Proust, Vermeer, Isaac B. Singer, Love and Exile, Marc Auger, Oblivion, Leav Matnokif on the Moment Online magazine, which I referred to, online magazine, The Brain in the Cultural Archives, and a wonderful little novel by Jorge Luis Borges, The Immortal in the Aleph. So I jump into the three sort of themes, thematics, and projects that I have chosen to present to you, where it's really like three examples of this overall approach. One is called Myselves. The second one is called Immortals. I put the S in parentheses. And the last one, Fail. So the first one is kind of a non-verbal dialogue between a human and an immaterial entity, myself. The second one deals with thematics of immortality, but via a fictional and embodied creature, embodied in by the dancer herself. And the third one will be dealing with the fallibility of AI, which I question in the project Fail. So in the first one, called Myself, what we because it's a co-construction with Antoine Schmidt, digital artist from France, who really uses the minimal entity of the pixel as a digital matter, like a sculptor would use marble, wood, or metal. He uses the pixel as the primordial matter. And what we have done together is to, I read the short text of a text we've written together. The performance Myself features a semi-improvised reciprocal choreography between a human dancer and an artificial entity programmed with algorithms of infralanguage intelligence related to bodily behavior, imitation, flight, attack, fusion, etc. Its body is made up of pixels projected onto the dancer and her environment. And it's what we call pre-AI intelligence is programmed with algorithms inspired by living organisms. These algorithms perceive the dancer through visual and physiological sensors to understand or to perceive her different selves, therefore the myselves, and interact with them. The performance develops an infraverbal dialogue between a human and an immaterial entity, exploring various relational modalities and culminating in a form of reconciliation. So this relational modalities is what I'm most interested by. So that's a bit of the theoretical text. And I let you enjoy a little excerpt of this performance.
To show this in this Premiere as well.
Yes, so let's do the process that allows to put it online. It's a very short excerpt of an hour and a half long performance. Where the dancer literally
Myself, right?
myself, that's right.
This.
The projection doesn't, in a small format, doesn't really give justice to the image, but at least you get a glimpse and all this material.
Let's make sure we see it.
There we go. Can we turn off the light, maybe?
Is it black at the beginning?
No, the image should be there. We only see the sound right now. Not the image yet. Let me put it from the beginning. It's so small. Oh, that's shit. Right. Okay. So this is a little excerpt from just a long hour-long piece, which in this case, I can just give you a little bit of an explanation, not so much on the technical level, but the situation which Marianne Masson, to name her by her name, she's a dancer, choreographer. We have worked very much closely into this performance, whereby she's dealing with a series of emotional states, which I call body states, which of course are themselves a mixture of different elements of emotional sensations, and via a series of sensors, in this case optical, but also physiological sensors, in particular the ones that are measuring your muscular tension. She's constantly dialoguing with these projected entities. Each pixel has a life on its own. They have a certain amount of different behaviors depending on the intentional lines of each of the sections of the performance. So whereby she goes through elements of fear and fright and joy, different kind of emotional states, fragility, which I like very much so. And at any given moment, these creatures not only integrate information from what she's given via the data coming from the camera and the sensors, but also have a semi-autonomy kind of behavior. So she's constantly confronted in this very sort of risky situation where she's never going to know what's going to happen next. So it's not so much like an automatic dialogue with something which has been pre-inscribed, pre-programmed or whatever. And the piece evolves constantly each time it's performed. So this level of uncertainty, of not knowing what's going to come next, creates kind of like a global intensity that the audience can perceive. And we've worked a lot on many different qualities of movement, something I rather like to develop very much, a series of kaleidoscope of different types of qualities of movement, which can be associated to body states. I don't go as far as I would say. It would be too pretentious to say that we transcribe directly emotional states, but at least body states, which themselves are a very complex set of feelings. And well, that's my sales piece. It is a very, very physical experience for Marianne. And we offer the audience the possibility to perceive this dialogue, whereby the artificial creature has also a life on its own, which I find sort of interesting. So the creature itself learns from the dancer, fills up its memory, empties it after a certain while, re-establish another type of action with the dancer, and so on and so forth. That's myself. And then if I want to go back to the text, I will present to you a second work, which is attached somehow, not directly, of course, as a transcription of this idea of the almost human, but a piece in which the immortel, that's right, where we tackle this theme of immortality. Put it on pause. That's right. Okay. So in this case, we've taken the immortality thematics as a fictional idea. So this piece takes place in the future, 2084, at a time where immortal creatures have been able to be created. For some unknown reason for us at the moment, now, today, they have been considered as dangerous entities, therefore put into some sort of spaces where they can be looked at like monkeys, so to speak. So they're in sort of futuristic zoos. And the audience can come and have a good moment, exactly what we do in the zoos, to play around in an absolutely terrible way with the monkeys, elephants, and other animals. So we took up from this invented sort of science fictional sort of idea to produce a piece in which, as opposed to myself, which is a more traditional stage audience plays, we offer the possibility for the audience to be completely going around in an installation, in the center of which the dancer embodies these whole thematics of immortality, with an attempt to answer to this question that we ask ourselves is, how would you move if you were to imagine that you are immortal? So it has given birth to all kinds of a new sort of pattern and spectrum of qualities of movement that we have explored together in this case. And the work has been done in conjunction with Arnaud Courcelle, the digital artist that I presented the work of yesterday, Foca Z, during the workshop. So he devised the images. We did together all kinds of research on the sound. I do also the sound design. And most of it devised a particular choreography, not only for the dancer, but also for the possibility of the people to interact. So the audience is able, via a tactile tablet, to send out signals to the dancer, and or that creature, let's call her creature, embodied by the dancer, she, in the case of this person, can also send out messages to the audience via a series of sensors that she has on her body. And these are rear projected on all the walls, mapped on the 4 walls of the space where it takes place. So let me show you the little video. So if I send it like this, it'll be okay? Perfect. That gives more justice to the quality of the image. So taking up from Turing, the audience is the test. So she expels all kinds of questions. It's not seen in the video, but she asks questions to the audiences. Oh, exactly. So that's the Immortals performance, which in this case, the technology of AI was more taken it from the imaginary space due to this science frictional story of ours, together with the creation of a whole series of images, text that are transcribed in the tactile tablet for the audience. Okay, go back to the little text. And to not make it too long either, just in case, again, I would love to see if there are any questions following this one enlarged version, this one here.
Do you want to?
Yeah, all right, go to the a little bit back, yeah. And then we'll go to the third and last video. I continue into the third project here, which is a very sort of contemporary work about that we are developing. This time with a programmer called Clément Barbizon, is a programmer from Paris. What we have put on the table as a question is not so much how to make an AI machine fail per se, even though the project is failed, but how to invent or co-invent what could be a non-probable sort of dialogue with this entity. And the entity, in this case, the machine, so to speak, is nourished by a customized database of several thousands of short videos. In order for the people experimenting this installation to devise different possibilities and ways of moving, depending on whether the users, what I call lovely users of the installation, are enacting sort of daily movements or slightly deviated movements from the ordinary. So what we have done is that we have created 2 big families of movements, those pertaining to the casual public movements that you do when you're looking at something, waiting for a bus, whatever, which are homogenized movements per se. And the other ones are all kinds of series of videos recorded from many, many different people, including children, elderly, which constitute this customized database. So we have used a model, of course, plenty of models exist, but we're training on it to produce a piece which is now both an installation per se that people can interact with and a performance as such. And the idea that came out recently is that, in fact, once the set is installed in a room, we have sort of imagined that the artificial creature body is everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So you will see that the way you move, and it's not again automatic, it has all levels of indeterminacies depending on how you enact your presence, slightly movements, modes of behavior will transform the image. And when you're outside of the field of the camera, like yesterday in Focus, the overall machine is in a state of waiting, but something still occurs. So we're constantly glitching in between the representation of somehow of the body and the state of the machine while is seemingly asleep. And I'll show you this third video then. In this case, I go to it. Can you come? Which will be this one, extrait 5. And in this particular example, the way the machine works is that it enacts words, which are somehow the way the AI interprets the movement of the user, but also invitations to move in a particular way.
Just turned your microphone on, and so the camera went on to you. Thank you.
Sí, este.
Okay.
All right. It's what is written in French is pretty much what I said in English. The body of the creature is everywhere in the space, and the words are both interpretations, which change all the time, and invitations. This shows a little bit of the flux of the images themselves as they appear on the screen, which at the moment is kind of small because we're in the process of creating this performance. And what's interesting is that with another type of camera, we're able to decipher really small fragments of movements, different attitudes, different intentions, very many things that can be considered as quite subtle in the behavior of the movement. And again, like in the case of what I presented yesterday, we enact a version of this performance whereby the dancer will be just enacting a way of moving that invites the audience to come into and appropriate themselves the installation. So, and that also touches an issue which is interesting, I think, in between all these different art forms involving the living, between body art forms and dance, choreography, and performance, whereby, and it's something that I've been tackling right now with more and more interest, is how to be exchanging with dancers in order for them to not hide themselves behind their dancing, but rather be in some sort of way of moving that can invite any person to interact and discover the interactivity. Yeah, I'm very much attached to that, so that we don't have this wall of, okay, these are the beautiful, excellent dances and so on, because it creates immediately some sort of like a situation of a spectacle somehow, but rather just combine ways of moving that can be really as shared as possible, in order via that to create a bit of what you have experienced, some of you yesterday, an inner feeling of what you're doing with your own movement, to recombine some perhaps lost sensations when we're not, when we're moving in the daily time. It's in that way that I connect all my movement methodologies very much in conjunction with the ones that I'm sharing with Jaime. Even though we're complementary, I find plenty of places where we overlap in the search of these body states that can enhance a sense of not so much freedom, but reconsidered agency. Yeah, whether they're distributed or not in this case. So that's pretty much what I wanted to present to you. I'm making it really, in fact, I will pass on the paper that I wrote. It's normally 17 pages, so I've condensed it with a huge biography. I made it as full as possible, but I make it available for whoever wants to write it. And,
thank you. Wonderful. A couple of minutes.
Sorry? Yeah, okay, definitely.
We can meanwhile also.
Sure, I give references to all kinds of writings, etc. Yeah, sure.
Great. So we have a couple of minutes for comments before moving on to the final presentation of this morning.
Yes.
Magalio.
Hi, it was really, really nice and really interesting. Just a clarification, you call this AI creature like an agent. So you also give him, her, whatever, intentional qualities?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
That's
what is the main goal then of the...
What's the main goal of
the creature? To interact?
The goal in itself is not so much the creature, but it's the potential for a dialogue whereby the lovely user can invent something new that is he or she's not used to. Basically, that's what it is. To invent, co-invent in the instant, in a site-specific situation, in situ, potential movements that the people have not enacted. That's my main idea. And of course, I push a bit the boundaries with these creatures because they take you in places that perhaps a dialogue with another person would not take you to eventually, because it encompasses so many possibilities. These thousands of videos that are now being trained inside of the learning machine are so numerous and coming from so many different people that you would not normally find yourself in that kind of situation. Yeah,
It's really what interests me. So I'm not focusing on a dystopian type of mise en scène of this and that and the other. Just the dialogue itself and what comes out, what emerges out of it. Simply.
In Mortel, the screens that the audience was touching was what was that exactly?
So the tactile cartel, like in a museum, are directly connected to the sensors that the performer has on our body. So depending, we have different sort of episodes within that sort of science friction, whereby, for example, one of them you saw in the image, there's an anatomical sort of figure, and the audience can send out signals to different parts of our body, activate. It's not electrical. It doesn't hurt. That's one of the uses. We use it as a double way of communicating. So the dancer can send out also messages via different types of small cameras that are distributed around the half sphere, and send out sort of specific images of her face, distortions to the audience. I can see that through the cartel. So it's a way to, like I said earlier in this science fiction story, it's like in a zoo. The audience is around trying to play with a monkey, this and that and the other. It's a terrible situation. But in that case, we invented this possibility of communicating between the inside and the outside.
What inputs does the dancer get?
It's sonic inputs, in fact.
The sensors give,
yeah.
Give her so,
right.
So
yeah.
Wears loudspeakers.
And no, just in the ears. Yeah. Right. We tried many different things. Electromagnetic, we tried plenty of different sensors, and in the end, the most efficient ones were just signals in the ear. Yeah. So, and there are varied episodes on different places. People are just contemplating at a situation. In others, they can go to the cartel. At other moments, like I said, she asks questions to the audience. They can answer via the tactile cartel. They're sort of poeticized, Turing-based questions. In the end, she says, "You, the audience, you are my test."
Great. Well, unless.
Thank you.
On the other hand, I'm very happy that all these programs, let's say, are inviting the non-dancers, the non-dancing body, which is very interesting.
Absolutely. The utmost sort of objective, if there is, or aim, let's say, is to, it's to make people just eventually be and think and move the way they would like to, and perhaps don't dare. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Especially in situations where the outside look, it's a threat for many people. We're all timid, shy, etc. It's not easy to perform while being looked at. We know that. Yeah, we know that.
So since we are kind of late, I suggest that Evie and Anna come forward with your presentation. We put it immediately. You're sure? Okay. Well, if there's some more questions in between. Yeah, there is. Yes. Can you give me your presentation? It's there? Ah, okay. So let's orange. Ah, okay. So it's here. Ah, yeah. Okay. So
The USB. Take Jean-Marc's USB off, please.
wait. No. Yeah.
I don't see it. Να αρχίσω. Θα καθίσω εδώ. Πάρε το δίπλα. Ναι. Okay.
Well,
I'll sit here.
I don't find it when we open this. I don't find it when we open this.
Maybe because it's still open. Turn it off, please. What?
But it should be open so that we can select it. But I can't select it.
Like with share screen, is the share screen?
There, it doesn't appear here.
I have it in PDF form. Is it better?
Well, we can also choose to put entire screen, and then you put it full screen, and then we should be able to see it properly.
Okay.
So, but first, let me just check whether I can change the name. Well, I will do that later.
Over here.
Yeah.
I think in the morning it was the number was good. Something.
Anyway, so now if we put this full screen, how do you put this full screen? Ah, there you go. I think the people online will see it properly. Sure to speak.
Okay.
So welcome, Evi Sampanico, host of the event, Anna Marcopoulou, also member of the project. All yours.
Well, thank you. Hello to everybody. At least we have full screen here, so you don't need to see us. We want you to be able to see the presentation. Well, the idea for this presentation came when I discovered the Greek translation of Le Monde Sans Fin, a world without an end, that was presented as a rather eco-friendly, energy-friendly graphic novel of a very well-known, on rather the works of a very well-known scientist, Jean Covici. And it came to me as something I should make a meta-humanist reading of. And this is what we concluded. I discussed it with Anna for a period. We have been discussing a lot on posthumanism and metahumanism, and I can say that what we present today is a result of our first discussions. Well, probably people in France know Jean-Marc Jancovici, who is a scientist, an expert on energy and climate change issues. He keeps writing and lecturing on climate crisis. It happened, and Christophe Blain, who is bande dessinée artist, read his works, was fascinated by him, and invited him to have a graphic novel together. They actually, it is the graphic novel, the idea of the graphic novel is completely Blain's, but they interacted by making themselves characters in the novel, talking to each other, interacting with each other, usually Blain asking questions to Jean Covici on energy, on climate, and everything. And of course, they are making an attempt to approach climate crisis in philosophical terms. I have to apologize. I have used the Greek translation for for the images because it was available to me to have this rather than buying the French or the English translation. But you won't be needing to read anything from the novel for this presentation, at least. Jean Covici interacts in this novel, as I said before, discussing about humanity's dependence on fossil fuels and also about the profound changes that human activity has brought to the natural environment and especially to the climate. The climate issue will be crucial for society, as well know, and we'll discuss in the Meta-Human Futures forums, and Jaime discusses it first, of course. We'll keep discussing during the next year. Therefore, I believe that any work of art puts a finger on it, it is a benefit for humans, for humanity, for the planet, not for humans. We must not be centered on humans, of course. So by becoming the main characters of in this novel, you can see them here, for example, on the cover. The authors either acquire imaginary roles or present themselves, or rather the alter egos, attempting to reconstruct the whole adventure of humanity related to acquiring fuels or using energy, and of course, changing climate. Let's talk about the setting and the content. There are roles here. This is Jean Covici, and the guy who's asking question because he initially knew nothing and discovered Jean Covici's theory. Blaine is here on one of the frames of the novel. I have to say that the form of this graphic novel is not the typical one. You'll see pages later on, and let me explain. So this is what happens by the meeting of a scientist committed to climate, to save the climate actually, and the planet, and a award-winning comic book artist. Typical are the expressions throughout the book: environmental crisis, climate change, green growth, and others. They are now, of course, in our everyday discourse, but they didn't used to be formerly. So in this book, in The World Without an End, they're trying to touch all these concepts, to explain these concepts in a rather humoristic and rather simplistic way, oversimplistic at times, but it's always a good intentions attempt. Therefore, they use an abundance of historical data and a plethora of numerical evidence, a series of diagrams and tables that a person like me, for example, does not understand much of diagrams and tables, gets dizzy with. But they attempt to describe the present of the planet and predict the future before it is too late. Will it be too late? We don't know. It is. Is it really happening? Probably, as Jaime has already answered. The descriptions the two authors make prove that the end will come soon and painfully, unless there are radical changes in the way we perceive our relationship with the environment, with the production and the consumption of energy, the use of fuels, and all this. Jean Covici is, after all, he knows well as an environmental engineer, and he knows energy issues, climate issues, through several organizations. If you check his biographical note, you'll see that he has founded 3 or 4 organizations already. The most recent one is the Shift Project. That is an active think tank, kind of contemporary think tank, with, among others, main goals, the reduction of fossil fuels, criticizing consumerism, and redefining the priorities, which is what we also do sometimes in the MetaHuman Future Forums, and not only. Blend's biographical note is rich. What I want to keep from him here is that he has a fascinating humor that becomes sarcastic at times. They too balance with also a sense of depression about the future. To keep the interest of the reader, however, focused on the exhaustive citation and information, well, humor is a way to face serious scientific issues. Jean Covici is often carried away by his enthusiasm and led to controversial views. However, and this is where I will start a critic on the book, because my main opposition to it is that it is not so political. It should be more political. And Jean Covici expresses conservative views also, or just plain scientific views that were not enough discussed in society, like the expansion of the use of nuclear energy, which he thinks will save the planet on all energy matters in the future. In a similar way, he generalizes, therefore he misguides the reader on several other views, like, well, he's not good in social issues. Connected, for example, the phenomenon of divorce with the abundance of housing options. We cannot say that divorce, okay. We all know that this is you cannot say that people get divorced because they have many houses and they can move from one house to another. And he also explains political phenomena like the Arab Spring some years ago in an apolitical and simplistic way. Therefore, what he says on one line is that the need for social change is up to us. It is on individuals, I mean. So it is downgraded, and social changes and energy changes are equal to this scheme. His matches are downgraded also. Talking about the pages themselves, he uses an old-fashioned way that initially made me think that look very much like Will Eisner's A Contract with God, that was actually the first graphic novel ever in 1978. So in a way, it takes us back to early graphic novels period, which can be fascinated by itself, talking about contemporary issues. I believe he has chosen this format because, I'm talking about Blend now, because he may think that we have to rewind a bit and think over things from the beginning. Therefore, there are frames that also resemble cinema frames of old movies and old photographs at the same time. So photography, cinema of the past, and even advertisements, old times advertisements of the 50s, of the 60s probably. Half of this book is dedicated on the climate. You can see the page to Klima here, where it starts from page 100, is it 106? I cannot see very well. But the first part is dedicated to energy, how how humans discovered how to use energy, how it developed oil, etc. Parts of a number of his frames reminds us of other popular things, like more related to pop culture, to later pop culture, like action comics, like cartoons of the 60s and the 70s. And they can be powerful by becoming oversimplistic on their design. And the human as a factor of this disaster, the human role as a factor on this disaster is underlined too much. It should, but the role of governments, for example, is underestimated somehow. The main focus on the book is the issue of the temperature raise, and he spends a lot. They both spend a lot of pages to describe the problem and attempt to start discussing about solutions. Their arguments are politically weak. Because it is an attempt to interpret the world as an image of a single whole, regardless of classes, of social inequalities, of different speeds of development and levels of biotics. And what if everyone is equally responsible for the planet's problems? I don't mean that we should say, oh, I'm not responsible, the government is, but you cannot just blame the people individually, the people one by one, because they have not the same potential intervention in things, and they don't have the power for solution. Always, it's not up on their hand. In addition, in purely scientific terms, issues such as the climate change should serve to list some opposing views so that the readers can form their own opinion and get to their own conclusions. They do not involve into social terms, keeping a distance from maybe being misunderstood in regards to their political beliefs. However, is the book sharing meta-humanist concerns? Would you like to take over? Yes.
Thank you. I think that this book sharing meta-humanist concerns a lot. I think that first, from another point, thank you. The absence of political thought, sociological thought, absence of social conflicts. Maybe it's because the authors, they are not sociologists, they're not scientific. They have not a political consciousness. this is a question to pose. I don't know.
We can discuss about
We can discuss about later. I think that of the other side, that this book, sharing metahumanist concerns, because they talk about the impact of what is called the human suprematism. We discussed all these days. They consider human as the center of the universe, or is a strong anthropocentric view. The human as a factor agent of other species extinction. Number two, the impact of the loss of contact with the natural environment. Thank you. Immobilized bodies, heavy and industrialized farming, emitting, energy consuming, traveling. And third, and this is very important, I think, me too, the lack of environmental ethics, capitalist, imperialist, colonialist thinking, the lack of any sense of inclusiveness. And from a metahuman perspective, the book can succeed in creating awareness about energy in the planet, offers the reader the necessary insight and information to build an environmental sensitivity, can be good material for educational purposes toward a concrete meta-humanist consciences. Thank you for listening.
We tried to be very short because we need time to discuss.
Yeah, wonderful. So we have a bit of time for 5 minutes so that we can have time for lunch for any comments or questions.
Questions, yes, or comments, or critical comments, critical positions.
I would like to ask if there is a relationship between the content and the layout of images. Yes. Can you explain more about this relationship? Thank you.
I believe there is, because with making it resembling to, for example, a letter to God, as I mentioned, that was a pioneer form of expression at the times, a new way of creating a comic book that actually made the first graphic novel. They're also acting like pioneers on environmental issues. So they are trying to give an apocalyptic form to their discussions and research to make us more aware of what happens around us. This is what I feel about. Of course, there can be hundreds of other explanations. Yeah, yes. Would you like to say something?
No, not especially. I think that we covered the
I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it, I can say, about the book and the whole.
Anyway, it's very interesting to have such contrasting kinds of artworks or cultural artifacts that address metahumanistic issues. So this gives a lot of food for thought. And talking about food, we have 1 hour. I would ask you to have in mind half an hour so that you take a lot of time coming and going. Think as if you want to eat in half an hour. I know it, but then we make it 1 hour so that we are back really at 3 because we have Teresa Schubert, we have all online speakers at 3 o'clock.
So
to join them and prepare them. And at 3 because we have a super full afternoon until the end of the day, so that we can try to start really at 3 o'clock. I would suggest that we go for the lunch.